Starting in with the first thing with crochet, once you get the basic things you need: a way to cut, a needle, and your yarn. The size of your needle is going to depend on what kind of yarn you have. For instance, I have a 4-weight yarn, worsted weight, or however you say it. So I am going to be using this is a 3.5, but that's just because that's what I'm using on another project. Um, on some stuff, it's trial and error to figure out what you're doing, like with doing stuffed animals, stuff like this. You use a smaller hook size to make your stitches tighter. This just happened to be the one I was using, so I started using it on the dream catcher that I started on. My daughter is going to be using this. This is actually really, really good yarn to learn to crochet with. It is cozy chenille yarn. I know a lot of people say chenille yarn is hard to work with, but a blanket yarn, anything that's like big, really big and bulky like this, is the best thing to start learning how to crochet with, because you can see the stitches and stay with a really light color. The darker the yarn, the harder it is. I keep looking over because my screen is over there. So keep that in mind when you're buying your yarn. Make sure it is light, and that's not a center pole, by the way. And by all means, you have to have patience. Unlike my kid that did not. Sometimes trying to find the center pole is kind of hard. And some of them, I honestly don't know if they even have a center pole. I got lucky. If you can pull from the center, which means pulling out of the middle here, you just stick your hands in there until you find the end of the yarn, pull it out. That is probably the best way to pull from a skein of yarn like this, because it does help keep the yarn, like, I don't know, together better, I guess. Sometimes, especially depending on what I'm doing, I'll cake up my yarn, and when they start getting really small where they're coming apart, either you can recake them again, or you can get, this is just a regular Ziploc baggie, and I will stick my yarn in these when they get really small like that, and it keeps them from getting tangled up and knotting up with other yarn and stuff like that. I have another project where my husband had these bags that he had some pants come in, and they fit a skein of yarn like perfectly, so I will stick my entire skein of yarn down in these bags and I'll tie them, and that keeps them together and neat. As I'm working, I don't have to worry about them coming apart. You can be very, very creative on doing this. Whatever works best for you is all that matters. I'm not going to be one of those people that tell you to make a chain 50 million times until you get it perfect, because if you're striving for perfection, maybe this is not the hobby for you to have. It takes trial and error. I've been doing this for years and I still make mistakes. I just messed up on the project that I'm working on, which is why I'm taking a break so I don't pull it out. I'm the only one that can see where the mistake is, and it's driving me insane. But I really don't want to pull out tons and tons and tons of work, but it's a result of me staying up all night crocheting instead of sleeping, and I realized that I screwed up. What? That dream catcher I'm working on. I do foundation chains, so I don't really do like the regular chains anymore. Foundation chains work best for me. But today I'm going to show you how to do a regular chain just for starting, and later on in another video we will do, I'll show you how to do a foundation chain. Yes, Miss Huffy, go ahead. Her allergies are bothering her, so she's having trouble breathing. There is, with just about everything in crochet, 50 million ways to accomplish it. A way that I may do it, you may find an easier way. You may see, I've had a few things where I'll be doing something and I'll be watching other crocheters, and I'll come across something that they do, like how they make a slip knot or how they tie off a round or something. And I'd be like, hey, that's a really great idea. And so I'll start using that. And there's no harm in that. If you did learn something from somebody else, though, I always, always, always encourage, don't say it's something that you came up with. If you came up with it on your own, that's one thing. But if you came across it because you watched it on a YouTube video or from another creator, always give them credit. For any designer, artist, anything, the worst feeling ever is when somebody else takes credit for the hard work that you did. There are, I know of 2 ways to do the slip knot, and I just did this off camera to make sure I could still do it, because like I said, I do the foundation chains now. My kids never can figure this one out. I've tried to show them so many times, and they never seem to be able to accomplish it. When you're holding your yarn, this part is attached to the skein. Hold it in your hand, like this. I'm opposite on the camera and what I'm doing in real life, and that's kind of tripping me out. Okay, take your tail, pinch it between these 2 fingers. It makes a loop. Finger in the hole. Facing in the hole. Now turn it upside down, which twists your yarn right here.
Oh, do you just grab the bottom one?
You grab the yarn that is on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but the yarn is overlapping. So when you get through the hook, grab the one that is on the bottom and pull it through the loop, just like that. That makes a slip knot.
Is this the one on the bottom?
Grab your little tail right here. Grab the little tail. Not that part of the tail. Grab that one. Now pull it through. Pull it through. Pull it through. There you go. Slip knot. And you put your hook in the hole and you pull it tight. Just like that. If you can't get that way, there is another way to do it. Pretty much, you can hold the yarn the same way. Put your hook through instead of your finger. Turn your yarn up. Catch the one on the bottom.
Can I show?
Grab where you twisted it and pull it through. Same thing, same result. Both answers. If neither one of these ways work for you, you can literally go on the search engine to YouTube and just put in crochet beginner, how to make a slip knot, and you'll find tons of videos. Even doing crochet slip knot. You'll find a bunch of other videos if that helps. But once you get your slip knot made, you're going to hold your yarn where you knotted it up. And then when you're holding it, to yarn under, put your yarn over your hook. You'll catch it and you'll bring it through the hole. Figuring out how to hold your yarn might be your first step. Everybody holds it different. It's however is best for you. Me personally, I hold it the same way I make my slip knot. I'll hold it with these 3 fingers like this, and then I'll pinch my knot with my hand like that. That's how I hold mine.
I got it!
But again, like I said in my other video, everybody does it a little different. Everybody has their own way. For me, honestly, if I hold my yarn any other way than super loose like that, my tension is entirely too tight. Once you get the first one made, you literally just keep doing that. Go under the yarn, hook it, and bring it through your hole. And you do that over and over and over and over and over, and you will build a chain. For your first time, your first couple times, maybe your first 100 times, that chain may not be perfect. I cannot tell you how long it took me to be able to get a decent chain. You just keep going for as many chains as you need.
Is that good? Oh!
Okay, the cat wants in the chair. Quit, Callie. Hold your yarn. Hold your yarn. No, here. Now go there. Now pinch your hook between these two. Give me the finger. This one and this one. The hook goes there. Now you're gonna go under,
I know how to do that part.
over, and through the hole. I can't do it sideways. Regardless. You keep going until you get a chain as long as you need. It doesn't matter how long, it's however long you need. When you're looking at the chain, you can tell by looking at it. You can't really see it on camera because I have a cheap camera. When you look at it, you'll see that the stitch makes a V, and that's the top of your stitch. And then if you look at the back, it looks like you have a straight row that goes straight up. That's the back bump. Some people, when they're working into a chain, they will work in the back bumps because it gives them a neater edge. For starting out, when you're going to go back down the chain, because you're going to make a square or whatever you're going to make, she wants to show you hers. Skip the very first loop on your hook right here. Very first one. You're going to go into the second loop, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through both loops. Just like that. Go into the next loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through two. And you're going to continue to do that. Now with these being single crochets, you only skipped one stitch when you turn to come back down that chain. So when you get to the end of your chain, you should be one stitch shorter than what your chain stitch was. For instance, if you had 13 chains, you should only have 12 single crochets coming back across that chain.
I didn't make the knot.
I am trying to get all the way down to the end of this one. I didn't realize I made it as long as I did. Hang on just a second, baby.
Oh, I remember.
The easiest way to learn how to do this is try. Do not strive for perfection. Like I said, I've been doing this for years and I still mess up. All the time. On some stuff, I just understand how to fix my mistakes. If I missed a stitch or something like that, I know how to work it in to fix my count and things like that. But don't strive for perfection on starting. That is one of the biggest reasons why people give up on crochet, because they will watch tutorials and work in books and stuff like that, and their stuff doesn't turn out the way that the video does or the way that the book does. I'll skip that very first loop on your hook, and you're going to go into that second loop. No, you're chaining over again. You're going to skip that first loop, go into the second loop, yarn over and pull through one, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you're going to go to the next chain. You're going to go in the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And you're going to do that all the way down, all the way till the end.
So where am I at? Right here?
For beginners, stitch markers are going to be your best friend. Honestly, even for advanced people, stitch markers are your best friend. You do not have to have the ones like this. I don't even know if you can see that on camera. It is a metal stitch marker. Maybe if I can get a bunch of them to come up.
I think I messed up.
Come over there. If I can get a bunch to come off there. They're metal stitch markers. I like these better because the plastic ones break really easy. But you can get, hang on just a minute, and I'll help you, baby. You can get just about anything. If you don't have a stitch marker, there's so many things around your house that you can use as a stitch marker. Get you another piece of yarn that is a contrasting color to what you're using. Like for pink, which is what I have here, I could get a blue or a green or pretty much any color that's not pink. I could use that as a stitch marker. You can get bobby pins. You can get, I've got some of these because sometimes I need different styles and colors for different things. Like if I'm trying to keep count on a row or something like that, I'll have my starting stitch with a different kind of marker than what I'm counting my repeats with or something, which I always mark the beginning of every repeat when my kids are around, because I've learned if I don't, I will lose track of where I'm at, and then I have to try to figure out the repeats. So it's just so much easier just to mark it. But when you're first starting, until you can figure out more of where that first row, that first stitch is, mark it. When you turn that chain and you put that very first stitch in there, put a stitch marker in that stitch, and then continue on. When you get to the very end of your row, you're going to chain 1, you're going to turn your work. Now you've chained that 1, so that's going to be what the stitch you're going to skip. So you're going to go into the top of both the loops of that stitch. When you look at it, you'll see it makes a V. You'll go into the top of both those stitches, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you get you another stitch marker and you put it through that stitch so that you know where the beginning of your stitches are at. I had these bundled up for another project. And then you continue back down. You will go all the way back down. Starting out, don't worry so much about looking at, oh, it's a beginner pattern, it's an advanced pattern. Look at what you feel that you can do. For me, when I first started, even when I first started, if I did beginner patterns, I got so bored with them and I never finished them because I got too bored with it. So do what you want to do. Don't worry about whether it's advanced or whether it's beginner friendly or anything like that. Just do whatever you want to do with it. Even if it's going and making a bunch of squares. This, I could make a rectangle, I can make it into a scarf, I can make it into whatever I wanted. All you have to do is keep going back and forth until you get the size you want. That's all you have to do. And that's a basic single crochet, and that's it. But there is so many super easy things that you can try if you don't want to do a more advanced stuff. As far as reading patterns go, what I would recommend, and a way that I learned how to read the patterns, for one, understand what basic stitches are. You can look it up on Google. That tells you what the most common abbreviations for the stitches are. Like for single crochet, it's SC. Double crochet, it's DC. Triple crochet, TC or TR. It's TC or TR. That one depends on who's writing it. Um, it's not hard to look that up though. What I did when I was first learning how to read patterns is I would find videos that had a pattern, a written pattern that went with the video, so that I could watch the video and follow the pattern. If I had a video that I really, really, really wanted to do because it looked amazing and I really wanted to do it, but they didn't have a written pattern, what I would do is I would bring up a Word file or notepad or any kind of writing thing on my computer, and I would make my own pattern as I went along. That way, if I wanted to do the pattern again, I didn't have to watch the video again. It helps you keep track of what row you're on. It also teaches you how to read and write patterns. Thank you, Miss Huffy. Patience. Yes, you may redo this 30 times before you get it. Please do not expect yours to turn out like this the very first time you do it. Yes, you. I've been doing this for years. Believe me, the first few months of me learning how to crochet, it did not look like this. I've been doing it for a few years now. And my kids apparently think that they're gonna pick up something, because I picked it up pretty fast, honestly. My biggest problem was my tension when I was first learning, and it took me a while to figure out how to hold my yarn, because I would watch a bunch of YouTube videos and people were saying, wrap it around your fingers, where it's all twisted up in your hand like this. I'm like, okay, I get that, but I can't crochet with it like that. It hurt my hands. Sometimes it even gave me like a rope burn from the yarn. I tried using crochet rings, didn't work for me. I tried making my own crochet rings. They're really cute, but again, still did not work for me. I tried several other things, and I came across a video that I was watching because I finally just like, whatever. And I stopped trying to copy what other people were doing because it wasn't working for me. It hurt my hands. It made me not want to do it anymore. Because my tension was so tight, my hands were cramping up so bad, and my finger was like bruised from trying to pull my hook through my stitches because of my tension being entirely too tight. And I was trying everything to loosen my tension, all the videos I could find, and I could not find them. I couldn't find any that worked for me. I had came across a video, I don't remember what it was anymore or what it was doing, but I was watching her crochet, and the way she was holding the yarn is, instead of having, her yarn all twisted up in her hands, she had a very loose grip on it because she used her hands, her entire left hand, to hold her work. Most people, their hand is all twisted up and it's just these two fingers, that's what's holding your work. The rest of it's twisted up with yarn. But with hers, she had a very, very loose grip on it. Her whole hand was on it, and the only thing really holding her yarn was her pinky finger. So I was like, hey, I wonder if that would help. And the project I was doing, I was having trouble with like keeping it held anyways. So I tried it, and it worked amazing, and I've been crocheting like that ever since. Very, very loose grip on my yarn. Pretty much my pinky's the only thing that really holds my tension. And that's what works for me. That may not work for you. My daughter obviously has a very loose tension. It would help if she would hold the yarn right. I'm going to help her here in a minute. because that is going to turn into repeating myself 20 different times, and I don't want to do that on video. That's not how you hold your yarn. You're not going to get through like that, by the way.
That's how I would hold it.
Something has to hold that yarn. If you want to hold it like that, then I need to get you a crochet ring. I gave you my last one. I don't know what you did with it.
Crochet rings that.
It's a ring that goes on your finger that holds your yarn, because you have absolutely nothing doing your tension right now. Nothing is holding this for you to get it to go through there. Anyways, so don't try to copy just one person. Watch multiple videos. I usually always have some kind of video or something going on in the background. Sometimes it'll be different crocheters. Um, if you would like, I can make a list and add it down in the description of a bunch of YouTubers that I watch for crocheting, and I think they're amazing. Um, I cannot think of. The only one I can think of her channel name right now is Complicated Knots, and that was because I was literally just watching one of her videos before I turned this on. Um, but you can find all kinds of videos and stuff. You can go on Pinterest, you can find a lot of free patterns on there, or you can find paid patterns. You can go on Etsy, you can find good patterns on there too. Um, for me, what I would recommend is getting a project in mind. Don't just sit there and redo that chain 50 million times. It's amazing. It's a good way to work on your tension, but it's going to get boring. I don't know if that's just because I get bored entirely too easy. But for me, I had to start doing projects. I couldn't just keep redoing the chain, because then I started striving for perfection. And that is the fastest way for people to give up on crochet, because they can't get that. That actually looks pretty good. They can't get that perfection, so they start to just give up. Find you a project. You can find granny squares is probably one of the easiest things to make. Yes, there are some really elaborate granny squares, and I've made some of them. They're very beautiful. Stay with basic granny squares. They're really easy to make, and you can literally just keep going with it for as long as you want. This project here is a stash buster. Skeins of yarn that are too big to go into a scrap bucket, but too small to start a project with, I add to blankets. And I do a lot of scrap blankets for that reason. Ooh, I found more stuffing. I did not know it was behind my blanket. So that's awesome, because I forgot to buy stuffing when I was at the store today. But that's done with a basic granny square. Those are really good to start with. They're super, super simple. I can make a video, I might do it later or maybe tomorrow, of how to make something like that. Or you can take and make a chain and just go back and forth. There's so many super easy, simple projects that you can do. But start busting out some projects, because the reward you get for seeing something that you made, even if it's not perfection, even if it's messed up, look at it and say, okay, this is messed up on here. My tension is wrong. So I need to work on that. Let me try it again, but maybe let's make my tension a little tighter. Oh, my tension is too tight. Let me try again, but make my tension a little bit lighter. I literally have a box sitting over there that is about that big, that is full of trial and error. projects, um, trying to design patterns, anything like that. I'll try something out. It didn't work the way I want. So I'll look at it, I'll critique it. What can I improve on? What can I make better with it? And then I'll try it again. And I do that on a very regular basis. And that's not a bad thing. You can frog work, which means pulling it out, starting over.
Yeah.
Or if you're doing like a big stuffed animal or something and it's a smaller project, like you were trying to do a square, you can use it as stuffing. That works as well. Um, or like for me, my parents like that stuff and they say it's amazing even if I don't agree. Um, so they'll take it. But for me, I think that's the best way to start is to start working on projects. Whether it's something small, I probably wouldn't do something like super, super big to start off with. Um, my first several projects were actually blankets, so I guess I'm probably not the greatest example on that one. Um, because that's actually something that I really, really enjoy doing is blankets. Um, Bigger projects, things that take more time, or things like little stuffed animals. Look how cute he is. I definitely cannot do beginner friendly stuff because it's too easy and I get too bored. Although some patterns I get too frustrated with because it is unclear and I have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, so I have to figure it out. Which is kind of fun but kind of irritating, especially if I buy the pattern. That corky that I just made, there was a few things on that pattern that I took a few hours one time just trying to figure out what the step was even talking about because it made no sense. It didn't tell me where to start, but it said make 10 stitches, connect to the next leg, but it didn't tell you where to connect to the next leg. And so it's kind of, I had to like mess around with it, play around with it, and figure it out. Um, just to try to figure out what it was even meaning. And in the end, there was a few things that I just really, really, really didn't like about the pattern. So I decided, okay, whatever, I'm making it for my friend. Her dog is very, very, very furry. So I proceeded to spend the next month putting fur on that dog, which fixed all of the shaping problems that I didn't like. And I do have notes for that pattern because I have somebody that wants one. Um, so I have notes on that pattern, and I'm probably going to redo the whole thing and use that sort of as a baseline, um, which I have a bad problem about doing that. I just hate copying other people, and I've always been that way, no matter what I'm doing. But my point is, definitely watch where you get your patterns. Make sure that it's a legit place. Etsy, Pinterest. Sometimes you can find really good ones on TikTok and Instagram, but I don't recommend buying off of those sites just because you never know if it's going to be a scam or not. Um, Etsy, Pinterest, those are established businesses, and I guess you could still maybe get scammed with them. I really don't know. I've never had any problems getting patterns or anything from Etsy or Pinterest. So those two I would recommend, or staying with free patterns on YouTube. Um, but yeah, that would be my hints and ideas and tips and stuff for getting started. If you have any questions or you would like me to make that list of different crocheters that I would recommend you watching, leave me a comment down below and I can get that list put together for you. I'll have to go through my subscription list and like mark down all of their actual channels, and so that would take me a little bit of time to get that done. But if y'all would like that, I would not mind doing it, and I would put it down below because they are amazing crocheters and they are really good, and it's how I learned to crochet. If any of this made any sense, give me a thumbs up and like it so I'll know. And yeah, I ramble a lot, so have a great day, everybody.